And even that Doom, Grindcore, TB, Trust, like even Multicorp, we did not just want to make out another fucking grind record that sounds like all the other grind records that were coming out at that time. We wanted it to be, first of all, we wanted it to sound like where we are coming from, and I think that album, if you listen to it, like Hassan is screaming in Urdu, Punjabi, he's talking about shit, he's really mad in some, like for example, advertisement overdose. There's a part where he says like, yaar, bhai, TV band karo yaar. You see, like that kind of stuff. So, and then like in Jamaat al-Maut, he talks about like कि तालिबान ने सबकी कितनी गांड मारी है, अब इनकी बारी है. वो वाला सारा scene. So it's all like, I think in our case, we were trying to be very different from what was going on at the time as well in the scene. But at the same time, we were trying to stay true to the music that we listened to, and also trying to make some interpret it in our own setting, basically.
And that's Sheraz from Multinational Corporations. Hey everyone, welcome to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K. Multinational Corporations were a grindcore act that started out in Pakistan and the members relocated in recent years. Well, they're back with a demo titled Cultural Collapse and lot more music in the coming months. Long-time listeners may remember my chat with Hassan, who's the vocalist of Multinational Corporations, and he had dropped hints of a comeback of Multinational Corporations. Well, it's finally here. So, with that intro out of the way, here's my chat with Sheraz. Hi, Sheraz. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Peter. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
I have to say this right up front. This is long overdue. I mean,
Yeah.
I've actually been in touch with you again for over a decade now, and I was reminiscing on like the early days where we actually connected and we were like, fuck, there's like these musicians from Pakistan and we get them. But you know what? Better late than never, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then like to be fair, like I'm really thankful for like all the support that people from across the border, India, people from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, like even right now we were like basically inactive, and just announced a demo, and then obviously like people are coming back saying, oh, they are coming back now, stuff's happening again, and it's crazy, so it is really an honor, to be fair. And that's the thing that I think about, like when as long as your music is reaching the right people, they understand it, then that's what it's all about. Because in Pakistan, no interest, totally oblivious to it, to be fair.
Yeah, and it's strange because over the last, I
Yeah,
think 4 or 5 years, and I must credit like technology like Zoom, Skype, and all, I've had a chance to speak to musicians across the border, right? So Babar Sheikh,
yeah,
who's again been
yeah,
very phenomenally involved in the Pakistan
yeah,
scene over the years. We had a chat with him. He was telling us about the evolution of the scene there. Um,
yeah,
More recently, Takatak, they're also these
yeah,
great
yeah,
boys.
yeah,
And I didn't want to do this now, but I heard a great
yeah,
story from the Takatak boys, and I
yeah,
probably think it involves you also, because
yeah,
Hassan used to organize gigs,
yeah,
and there was a gig where Takatak played, and I think they were still instrumental band, and I think either it was in a mosh pit or something, but he just basically cut open his forehead and was bleeding
yeah,
all
yeah,
over. I've
yeah,
seen
yeah,
pictures
yeah.
of this.
No, that was Hellfest in 2014. So in Islamabad, they put up a show called Hellfest. I don't know, there's another real Hellfest as well, but I think that was the show, and we played. Foreskin played there, so I played with Foreskin, and obviously with Ritam, we played a set. So after the end of Foreskin set, like Hassan just like busted his head open with the. I think he punched himself or something, but it was like bleeding, and he had his like Gigi Allen moment, we call it.
Okay, I'm gonna save some of these stories for later because I want to do a complete different
Yeah,
thing.
it's
But you kind
crazy.
of
Yeah,
broke it, and I think uh, that's why we are on this call so soon, right?
yeah,
Is because Multinational Corporations has announced you're releasing new music again, and it's a demo that's coming up,
yeah,
which should be out by the time this interview is out. But what I was really excited is because I've been hearing from Hassan. Oh, and I
yeah,
think he dropped this in the last time we spoke about Janjeer, that you all are
yeah,
working on something either off the record. I can't remember. And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
been taking a while. Then I saw, I think one of you posting a few kind of behind the scenes things of recording. So let's go back. I mean, like, just to understand, right? I mean, to put some timeline, it's been what, at least 6 years since Multinational Corporations was active?
Yeah, like it's actually like yeah, I would say more even more than 6 years. Like last time we were actually like working on something was like around 2015, 2016. But then we were still together thinking about stuff, but never was really actively recording. So it was only I think Esasi Jurm and Jihad split that came with Matka Teresa. That was the last thing we did, and that was around 2016. So
Okay.
after that,
And
like it's only been yeah. It's only been releases of like previous, like for example, somebody did some tapes here and there of Jamaat al that kind of stuff. But we have that was the last time we released something and recorded something.
yeah, and I'm going to definitely link the episode I did with Hassan, at
Yeah,
least both of them, because
yeah,
he moved on to live in Germany. You moved
yeah,
to Ireland. Uh,
yeah,
s- I mean, technically, you're in the same kind of
yeah,
area, spread apart countries, but
yeah.
what kind of prompted the new music again?
Yeah, so it was really, to be fair, like we never like got away from the idea that we need to still keep doing multi-corp, but it was like we were listening to the old stuff that we put out, Jamaat al and we were like, this stuff is still as relevant as it was back then, and there's now more need to like there are more things to be said now that weren't being said in Jamaat al that was well, that was the point. We were like let's just get back to it and try to do something and address all of these things that are going on around us. And like obviously moving out of Pakistan also like changes your mindset as well in terms of like the experience that you face when you move on, move abroad, and then you also think that well, it's all fucked up at the end of the day. The world is fucked up. It's no like it's not like just Pakistan's fucked up even right now. You're sitting like I'm sitting here 2 weeks back. I was like the fucking like if somebody finds out I live here, they would come and smash my window because of all the fucking hate crimes that were going on due to the EDL and all of that shit. So it's more like, like multi-cop has always been like, our fuel is all the shit that happens around us, and that's what makes us, that we reach that point where we like it's not like, we sit down, we're feeling good now, and we're like, oh, now we do it. It's always in the middle of something, we find some time for it, write some shit, Hassan has some lyrics recorded. So it's kind of like always we're in some deep shit and we're like, okay, man, let's do this shit on the side. Even Jamaat al if you remember from like, if you spoke with Hassan about it, we recorded over a 4-day period. And it was just like, just we got together 4 days and obviously like Hassan and I have been friends since 2011, and we would normally like in Lahore, we would always hang out, and always be working on something. But multi-corp has always been like short outbursts of this really intense music, and then we just like get on to something else. That's kind of how like this new EP is also come around. We just like we thought that there's more things to be said now, so why not just do it? And 10 years later, we're like, this is now really time to like do something again.
So it's
No,
strange that you say this, right? 10 years, because I'm looking at my blog, and this is a blog
yeah,
entry all the way from 18th of April 2014, where I spoke to Hassan. And I have to say,
yeah.
right? I mean, I I can't believe I'm reading something I wrote so many years ago and I'm not cringing so much. But I literally said that I was unaware there were grindcore bands in Pakistan until last week. And I came across multinational corporations from Lahore.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're like this or not, but I described you as the angry duo of Hassan and Shiraz. Release an EP meeting Congregation of Death about the fucked up conditions of living in Pakistan. Wow.
To be fair, right? Like I think you're dead on there because we are really two angry guys. Like we've always been like that. Still, like even after 10 years, we're still two angry motherfuckers. To be fair, like even when we're talking on text, like our voice notes. If you listen to our voice notes, we're always like, "What the fuck is this shit?" We're always mad at something.
But I think that's one of the things I feel about just not just grindcore but music in general, right?
Yeah,
And I always keep saying this, and it may seem like a cliche, but you
yeah,
don't just get into metal one day, right?
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
always there. It always is like residing somewhere deep inside and it just comes out. And I think the way
that's
you
right.
kind of described how y'all came together for this
Yeah,
EP, right? And demo, putting it together totally makes
yeah,
sense. Because let's be honest,
yeah,
like everywhere,
yeah,
and I think it's not even you need to be part of the country or be part of some place to kind of see
yeah,
what's happening, right? Because I was
exactly.
seeing what's happening and I was in UK and I was just like,
Yeah,
fuck, like this is bullshit,
absolutely.
man. And you again, you can't kind of have these conversations with friends, and especially, let's be honest, like India is no better, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
just to kind of
exactly.
understand and contextualize all of it, we,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man. It's just fucked up.
Yeah, it is. Like, to be fair, I think your point about like you don't have to actually be there to understand what is going on, that's exactly spot on. Even like, like to be fair, a person who is aware of what's going on, who's politically aware and who's aware of all the bullshit that happens in the society and like still is happening to this day. Like we're seeing currently like live example of like colonialism, and like just even like what's going on in Palestine as well, and that stuff, and then all the far right stuff in Europe, even Ireland, and where I'm like in UK and Ireland as well. You see it, and you're like, you would have thought that like 10 years back that okay, man, like maybe like with all this fucking flow of information, people will get to know what was right, but then you realize that man, that's all bullshit because even flow of information means fucking flow of misinformation, right? And then that's what it's all about, right? And I think in the new tunes as well. Like we are trying to channel like both new themes and the ever existing timeless themes of oppression as well. And like the new themes are related to like the artificial like intelligence and all the fucking algorithms basically directing things to people that they just basically would like to consume at the end of the day, not for because what is like best for them or what is like what they like. It's just that they are making decisions based on how riled up you will get after reading this, how angry you will get, or what will be the most like biggest amount of reaction that they can get out of you by feeding you some content. So it's kind of like that. Like, and to be fair, these days with people like with platforms like Twitter and people like fucking that guy Tommy Robinson or Elon Musk, you see, or you, and even in the government, like even people like Trump, and you start to think that well, like, we're just descending down into the abyss. No progress whatsoever.
It's so true what you're saying. And
Yeah,
one of the things I actually do also is I teach, and I teach about digital marketing. And the other day I was in
yeah,
class talking about content, and I said, it's very strange online, but there's actually data now that if you
yeah,
put positive or superlative words in your content
yeah,
versus none
yeah,
versus negative, it's no
yeah,
surprise what gets the most amount of engagement and people
yeah,
going, right? And I think over
yeah,
a period of time, the algorithm just kind of keeps recommending it to you because it knows
yeah,
that you're someone who's going to kind of consume that kind of content. But
exactly.
let's talk about the cultural collapse, right?
Yeah,
Was there a moment, and I know you said you don't kind of plan it and stuff. So
yeah,
take us
yeah,
back to the time, or at least our listeners, when you and
yeah.
Hassan decided, like, fuck it, this is time for uh multinational corporations to come back. And what was the first song that you'll kind of put together?
Yeah, yeah. So you see, these songs, though, I think I sent you only one of them, but like there are two songs that we're putting out in Cultural Collapse as a demo, and there are like 5 or 6 songs that we are finalizing in the back. Like they're almost finalized, but we're just mixing and mastering them, and those tracks are going to be on a split with this occupied interior, basically anti-Israeli band called Ragam. They're a grindcore band, and that split we're is going to be the main release. So this Culture Collapse is basically a demo of what's going to be on that. So it's like a 2-track demo, and all of those tracks were like, to be fair, one of them, White Man's Burden, I composed around like I think I composed that around 2017, and we just never got around to finishing it. And like we kept writing more of them on the side, but like lyrics, some of them kept changing. Some of them stayed the same. But it was right like until like when I came here, I was studying. So for 1 year, I wasn't doing anything else. No music at all. I played in some like I was playing music by my own, but no bands. But then when I was done with studies, got a job, like joined a few bands in Belfast as well. Hassan was doing his thing with Sanjeev, and then we just felt like we're at that stage where we can now give this thing its due attention and also like put out a finished product. So now we're that's how these tracks all like it's probably we're trying to get some drummers in as well. So we did a few sessions in Germany. Hassan did a few sessions with some drummers too, but like it was a lot of back and forth. But now I think we have a finished product. Um, yeah, it's just around like I'd say 2022 where we really decided, and I think 2023 we posted an update that okay, this is happening, but nothing happened. So this time we were like, just put out a release date and just release it. Like we're not going to sit on it any longer because like to be fair, it's as good of a time for all of these things to be said as it was like and at any point during the last 10 years because like shit is just as I said like it's just still relevant and shit has just been like going downhill and we just like to be fair the entire world is getting fucked now, so it is. I think it was just that point we said like just release it. It was just 2 3 days back. My son and I were like okay, even before we do this play we just put out a demo so that people know that we're coming out.
Wow. So this is like really fresh. Like you literally decided this almost a week
Yeah,
before.
yeah, exactly. That's what it is because even the Instagram, like I think the night yesterday we decided to do this podcast, and it was like in the morning that we set up an Instagram for multi after like so many years, because it's just Facebook, and now Facebook is dead, nobody goes to Facebook anymore. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it for me that was crazy also to realize that like multinational corporations existed as a band before there was Instagram and that was relevant, right? So
yeah, yeah, that's right.
completely crazy. Okay, cool. We've talked quite a bit about like the background and stuff. So I
Yeah,
think it's time let's listen to The White Man's Burden.
yeah.
Here's the track.
King disguised as traitors, king with foreign laws, king with thoughts and raiders, shadow of the fraud. Violating mission, impure intentions, doctrine of the earth, cultural brilliance. When I see your buildings, price you out of day, all I can think about those who were enslaved. Enslaved. We are indeed the white man's burden, merely tendency for us to rise and grind.
Okay, that was The White Man's Burden of the latest demo, Cultural Collapse by Multinational Corporations. Now, I know I did this in the past, but I think it's also important to get your perspective and your background because let's be honest, right? Especially with you, when I was looking up and just seeing the kind of stuff, when I saw that Jamaat Al Maut was actually mixed, produced by you. You
Yeah,
wrote all the music for it.
yeah,
Um, and when you're going back, this is like 2013, 2014.
yeah,
Pakistan was
yeah,
very different.
yeah,
Uh, but that was not the only band that you were part of, right? You are
yeah,
quite
yeah,
prolific. And anyone who looks up Metal Archives, if anyone still uses,
yeah,
I'm going to take a deep breath when I say this. So you were part of Dionysus, Foreskin already
yeah,
you mentioned, Iritum,
yeah,
Marwalat, I hope I said that
yeah,
correct, Dead
yeah.
Buttos, Ilham. Fuck, how many more? Did I miss out any bands? Did like
Yeah,
there's
there are a few that are not on the Metal Archive. So there's Flaw and there's Sage and Spirit,
okay.
and I think there's Hounds of Tyndale. So yeah, like those were like non-metal projects. So it's crazy. Yeah, to be fair, if you look back at it, when I was doing it, I didn't realize that like I'm making so much music. But like when you look back at it, and even myself, I think like that's a huge body of work.
Yeah. So tell me,
Yeah,
how did multinational corporations come together? Like you said, you
yeah,
were friends with Hassan in 2011. So how did that all
yeah,
happen?
yeah. Yeah, so it was basically like around 2011, actually 2010 summer, I formed Dionysus. So that was a really different variation of what was Dionysus later on when we put out our first EP. But that was like the start of Dionysus with my brother Omer and some other guys. So what happened was I was looking to play a gig, and I had just quit my previous band, which was basically I wanted it to be a heavy metal band, but they were trying to play covers of like fucking EP and Call and that kind of bullshit. So I just quit that band, formed Dionysus with all the members except the two guys who wanted to play that shit stuff. So I just formed Dionysus out of that band, and we wanted to play a show. So Hassan was putting up this show called Mosh Pit, and this show was being organized in in Lahore around Gymkhana area. So it was a housing society of railway employees and like with really big grounds outside of the house. That DIY gig was being organized there. Yeah, so that DIY gig was being organized there, and I asked Hassan that if we could get a slot, and he asked us, well, what kind of music are you playing? That's before Hassan and I were friends. And I said, like, I'm gonna play some originals and a cover of Sheraz. So he's like, that's insane, you know. He was old I'm a fan. We came together, and so at some point it was basically Hassan was doing Foreskin at that time, so he was also playing at that show. So Hassan and I became friends. He came up to my house and we just started recording something. Turned out we had a song, and he's like, "Well, we'll make it a Foreskin song." So before Multicop, Foreskin came into being, and that's where Hassan and I were actually recording music. So we recorded Hack and Slash, Anger Management, and then Multicorp was around the same time where. But like, if you ask me, the start of Multicorp, it is a started as a joke band, to be fair, and the lineup was all fake, and the songs were like recorded on like really bad equipment. Even even the early stuff, I would say, was really bad. Laughing, Hassan and I were still laughing about it. You wouldn't find that stuff on the internet now because like, but Hassan pulled out some things from his email, and we were listening to it, and we were like, "Fuck, man, that's embarrassing." So that was around 2011, and like after that we kept doing Foreskin. We became more mature with our musicianship and also with the recording technique as well. And just after we got just like with Foreskin, we were playing crossover thrash. And once we got done with it, there was a bit of hardcore in Foreskin as well. So if you listen to songs like How to Fight, that they like a lot of hardcore beat down stuff with going with thrash metal and solo stuff. It was like a lot of lead guitar playing. So from that he said like, okay, I remember there was a friend of mine, ours, Anik Zaman. So that guy wrote for Multigod out of nowhere, just a fan art, And Anik Zaman is really like, he's played in a lot of bands as well. He's a really good guy in the music scene in Karachi. So yeah, he just sent us this cover art, and Hassan said like, let's make music on it. And that's how the first like Jamaatul Maut thing came into being. I think we recorded Salaab, song called Salaab, and Advertisement Overdose. And these two songs were like released as a initial demo in 2014 before the actual Jamaatul Maut EP. So at that time, we just started playing live shows. Like we started playing multi-corp sets with on Foreskin shows. So it would be Foreskin and some other band, and like some, I probably like my other band, Atem, would be on the show bill, and then we'll do a small multi-corp set of like 5 to 6 minutes. So that's how multi-corp came into being actually out of Foreskin. It was born out of Foreskin.
No, it's crazy that you say that because I also remember at this time, or this was probably slightly later also, Hassan started doing gigs and organizing gigs and putting
Yeah,
together stuff.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I remember seeing these pictures like a few days after the shows, and I was like, this is fucking DIY, like to the bare bones, right? Like, uh, it was insane when I thought about just like everything that you all were going through to put on these shows.
yeah.
And I think at that point, like, I don't think sound or anything kind of mattered, right? Like, what mattered was the
Nah,
fact that there were all of these people who actually, believed in the music and actually listened to metal. Because let's be
yeah,
honest, I mean, like, even though I live in like one of the most populous cities in
yeah.
the world, there aren't that many metalheads, right? And especially like
Nah, it's like,
the more niche you get into the music, and I think when I look back, that's why I kind of connected with people like you, Hassan, all of you, all
yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
there is that anger that you want to express, which you can only do through music like metal and grindcore. Uh,
Uh,
so yeah, totally, man. Fuck, you just took
yeah,
me on a full
that's it.
nostalgia
Like,
trip.
yeah, even in Pakistan, we used to joke about it. So, like, from my house, if I were to start walking and meet another one of my friend who would understand the bands that I'm listening to, I would have to walk around like at least 15 kilometers to meet other guy, who listens to metal. So it's fucking insane. And even like in Pakistan, I would say, like, for example, let alone being a grindcore, crust or D-beat band in Pakistan, just being a metal band, like even being a band that plays stuff like Metallica or Pantera, it's fucking hard. Even being a musician in Pakistan is really hard, to be fair. It's not even about being a metal band or like putting on shows. Hassan used to put on a lot of shows. Then we got this place, O Positive, where Hassan and I both like teamed up to put on shows. Even in the BNU, we did Unsilent Death, where we would just be like, carrying everything in our cars. We would be getting in touch with the sound guy, doing promotion ourselves, all complete DIY stuff, nothing like no sponsors, nothing. To be fair, I remember Hassan like getting on a bike just like an hour before the set, and because something else like something needs repaired. It's just last second because our amp has been busted. The amp he was going to monitors he was going to use for his vocals were busted, so he has to go and get. I remember the last show we did with Multicore. It was not even a show; it was more of a jam. But like, I remember Hassan getting on a bike to get this fucking thing fixed, and then come back and play the show. So it's crazy, Like, to be fair, it's like I came to Belfast and I saw that like okay, like all the like punks don't have it easy here either, but like they have promoters, they have venues, dedicated venues, and like I would say in Pakistan, even if you're a mainstream musician, like just playing mainstream music is still very hard for you, to be fair. Like even being a grindcore musician is out of question, it's just you're on your own. That's it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And before we kind of go on, right, I want
Yeah,
those who haven't heard Jamaat Al Maut,
yeah,
let's twist this up, right? What's
yeah,
a song that both you and Hassan listen to now and we're like and are like still proud of it and we're like, fuck, these were like two young kids in
yeah.
Pakistan, Lahore making this music. Which song would
Yeah,
that
to be
be?
fair, I think that song would be most Salaab, I think, is the like epitome. Like it is the like signature, I would say, blueprint of what the EP sounds like, and I think we still both still very proud of it. Salab, the I think it was the first song we put out on Jamaatul Maut before we put out the entire EP. But yeah, it was about Imran Khan and like his fake revolution that everybody is now seeing. Like what we were saying was fucking true even before it happened. We're like, we told you, bro. Now we're sitting like, Imran Khan is in the jail, and fucking like the people who brought him are in jail now, and like we just even more fucked up now. But yeah, Salaab was basically about that fake revolution that Imran Khan was trying to pull.
Okay, so here it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Okay, that was Salaab of Jamaat al Maut, which was a 2014 release of Multinational Corporations. And strangely enough, it was prophetic if you think about it, right? Just considering the situation right now in Pakistan. And you kind of talked about how you all were actually talking about Imran Khan's fake revolution. But I want to double
Yeah,
tap a bit on what you said, and I want you to again
yeah,
give your perspective and understand your understanding of the Pakistan music scene, because from what I understand, again, and just to recap for some of our listeners who may have not heard my previous episodes, uh, again, Pakistan scene is very kind of like fragmented between, and I'm using the word scene very loosely, but you have it like in Islamabad, Lahore,
yeah,
Karachi. I've heard of some bands from Rawalpindi. Uh,
yeah,
but tell me what it was like in, because now I'm seeing a lot of like, Coke Studio, you see musicians
yeah,
performing with their, uh,
yeah,
you mentioned bands like Call, Junoon,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
all of them who were again like, these guys who actually played hard rock and then kind of ventured into playing
yeah.
Urdu rock and stuff like that. But paint a picture of what it was like, you know, in the scene of sorts from the years that multinational corporations was active.
Yeah, so from like if we start looking at scene from 2010 till 2014, I would say the scene was like, it was better than it is now in Pakistan at least. It wasn't really good, it wasn't ideal, but you had bands who were like recording things and they were different. Like for example, the name we already mentioned, Takatak, like they were still doing their stuff back then. Rawalpindi, Islamabad. It was mostly Rawalpindi. To be fair, Islamabad. I don't know if there were any bands like that lived in Islamabad at that point, but mostly Rawalpindi guys, and they were doing some good music, like thrash metal, groove metal kind of stuff. And we would sometimes get bands from there as well, and bands like Wreckage. I think some of them are now from moved into this band called Azab, and yeah, you probably know about them, right? So, so I think I saw your episode with them as well, and they're now like touring Canada and like all of that stuff, which is really good. So Azab is one band that comprises of people who were in the scene at that time and were playing in really good bands and playing really good death metal music even back then. But to be fair, if we look at like the creative output of the Pakistani scene, you don't find apart from Dusk and like now Azab has put out an album and some people have put out some EPs here and there, but you don't find people who have like, really put out stuff consistently and like and there's like if you go back, you listen to like all of these compilations and you see a lot of bands which are like different melodic black metal band. You would get like dead doom bands, death metal bands, but then it's just only one song, that's it. You don't get like any EPs out of them. So the scene back then, it was just same. Nobody was really invested in recording and putting out stuff. So people were playing shows, and you would go to shows and you see bands, and there would be good bands there as well, tight bands as musicians. But like to be fair, Hassan and I and few of my other friends, we were always a bit more, I would say, niche. And even for the Pakistani metal fans, they would be didn't like in Pakistan. There's some sort of a fucking I know, like they don't like old school stuff for some reason. They like the polished, new, modern sound, and like that never seemed to sit well with me and Hassan and all of my other bands as well. Even Dusk, like Dusk, I really respect because Dusk is the real. That is one band that puts us on the map as well. Like overall in the world, if you see like that Doom, Dusk is there. If you talk to anybody out of Pakistan, they know Dusk. And Dusk was real shit. Like you sit and talk about Dusk, and it wasn't like somebody just messing about who does not understand the genre. But like in my case, like all the bands that I've tried to do, I've tried to be very true and like kept, really tried to keep intact the integrity of the art itself, and even that Doom, Grindcore, TB, Trust, like even Multicorp, we did not just want to make out another fucking grind record that sounds like all the other grind records that were coming out at that time. We wanted it to be, first of all, we wanted it to sound like where we are coming from, and I think that album, if you listen to it, like Hassan is screaming in Urdu, Punjabi, he's talking about shit, he's really mad in some, like for example, advertisement overdose. There's a part where he says like, yaar, bancho, TV band karo yaar. You see, like that kind of stuff. So, and then like in Jamaat al-Maut, he talks about like कि तालिबान ने सबकी कितनी गांड मारी है अब इनकी बारी है वो वाला सारा scene. So it's all like I think in our case we were trying to be very different from what was going on at the time as well in the scene, but at the same time we were trying to stay true to the music that we listen to and also trying to make some interpret it in our own setting basically.
Okay, now
So yeah. If we come back to the scene point, I think yeah, scene wise, I would say Pakistan scene has been a big hit and miss. I'm sure like you do a lot of like research, you interview a lot of people, you would know that in Pakistan there's never been this consistency of like bands and like of creative output albums coming out. So that I think has kept the scene really as disadvantaged.
no, totally, you nailed the point
Yeah,
when you said that, right? Because if even till today you're looking for, music from Pakistan, other than, your mainstream artists and stuff like that, which very weird side note, but I had no idea, and I went down this Twitter thread where once somebody, or actually a rabbit hole of sorts, where somebody once said that I had no idea Fawad Khan was in Entity Paradigm. And to me, they were
yeah,
introduced to me as the Pakistani Linkin Park.
yeah,
And then I found like videos, and this is the beauty of YouTube, right? There's videos of him playing or singing actually at some college festival. And
yeah,
everyone's like looking bored, and it looks like one of those college things where everyone's seated and stuff. Then I actually went through the videos of EP and I was like, oh fuck, it's actually him. Like I had no idea there. And then of course,
yeah.
then I think Pepsi Battle of the Bands or something they performed again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. In the current Pepsi battle of the band, they performed. Yeah, that's right.
and it was crazy. But yeah, that I always wondered why there was like no kind of prolific output
Yeah,
coming out. I mean, I have to give a huge shout out to someone who I also connected thanks through email and the internet, who is just
yeah,
Shariar Poplazi, who did the
yeah. Purpose,
he did the gas mask Holocaust compilations.
yeah, yeah,
This is a story I can't say publicly in too much
yeah,
detail, but Poplazi actually ended up sending CDs to India. and I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
copies of it, and that blows my
yeah.
mind that that actually happened. But that's a story I can only tell
Yeah.
offline. Uh, but
No, no, I
yeah,
totally believe it because Popose is a really good friend of mine. So we are also doing this thing. Like on a side note, we're doing this thing called Analog Pakistan, which is like more about like, kind of promoting the art of like actively listening to music, and just like we're big music fans, like more both me myself and Popose. So I know all about the like Casma Holocaust reggae and all. Like I know like that is these are the few things, that good things in Pakistan that has happened and like by people and like but you can count those people on fingers, and those are the people who actually understand what like underground scene is all about. Baba Sheikh is also one of them. So like um I remember like when I was a kid, just like my on my cable TV, there was some channel which was running some test transmission, and they had this rock documentary on repeat because like they had no program, so they were just playing this rock documentary on repeat, right? And there was this scene in that documentary where Baba Sheikh is sitting, and he's talking about how he used to send tapes and CDs out of Pakistan, and like he's talking about things like how they would take money by sending things through pay post, as well, and then like you see in the old culture about posting things about in underground scene, they would hide money inside the CDs before the send while sending it to you, and that was like how people basically communicated and did business back then before PayPal and all of that shit, So
it's
so
absolutely crazy
yeah,
when I
so
think about it, right?
and then when you're looking at that those things and then like, but yeah, as I said, like you can count two or three people in Pakistan who've done it and who really understood like what the underground scene is all about and how it is different from the mainstream scene. But in Pakistan, most of the metal bands, and I would say it right now, they keep a very mainstream mentality. Most of the musicians, like if you even if you look at things like Pepsi Battle of the Bands and Coke Studio, it's all corporate sponsored, bullshit. Basically, they're not concerned about the music. All the bands that came out of Pepsi Battles band were okay. Like in back in the early 2000s in Pakistan, there were music channels, right? And if you managed to put out a music video, you can get them to play on the channel, and that somehow made you famous. So in Pakistan, you get a lot of guitar shredders that came out at that time, early
Yeah.
2000s. But it was a bit of a like all of them were trying to be very commercial, and none of them were trying to actually play music for like, for example, they weren't playing it for the sake of music or art itself. They were basically using it as a mean to make money out of it. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that in underground scene or in the metal or extreme music scene, it's just that you need a bit more than that. Like the motivation to make money is like in a place like Pakistan, it never works, So that's why we don't have anything. We don't have any big scene to look back on. But yeah, like we have these small fragments of like lights in like throughout the years, like GMH compilation, obviously, and a lot of things that Dusk has put out. Dusk is still putting out good albums. That is good. Even like Dionysus, we did a split with Dog and Inferno, and that was like released to Konal Choksi before we did Jamaat al-Maut on his label as well. So yeah, yeah, as I said in the beginning as well, there has been a lot of support and a lot of like interaction with audience and even musicians in India and Bangladesh and Nepal more than there has been local interaction or collaboration.
Yeah, I must say, right? Because I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to talk about that because that's one of the few releases I actually own by Dionysus, right?
Yeah,
What I also want to actually quickly kind of switch topics and talk about
yeah,
was the recording music because,
yeah,
and I want to start off by at least what I've heard where Takatak were actually recording with Mikal Hassan, which
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
really interesting when they were
yeah,
telling me
yeah.
about that. And like for those who know, Mikal Hassan is actually an artist that does like a lot of this rock fusion of sorts.
Yeah,
But
he's produced. Mikhail has produced Atif Aslam's Aadat, like the most famous tune out of Pakistan. The producer is Mikhail Hassan. So
yeah,
so
and
yeah,
he
he's done
actually,
everything.
the only time I've met Mikal was when he was actually doing sound for Atif Aslam in
Yeah,
Dubai,
yeah,
of all places. But
crazy,
what
crazy.
is the recording thing like? I mean, like, what inspired you to kind of just say, like, fuck it, I'll do it myself?
Yeah, so to be fair, and like you see, but Takata recording with Mikkelsen was basically because they could afford to pay Mikkelsen. That was basically it. In Pakistan, if you want to pay, like if you want to get a studio, first of all, like I tried doing Dionysus in a studio first, and like we had to pay for a shift, and then we had to work with a guy who does not understand what is going on here. So like we tried doing one song at a studio, but then did not work out. It was really really bad. Then what we said was we just buy our own recording equipment. So it was in Dionysus that even before Dionysus, I was recording things on my computer. But with Dionysus, we really got into the recording. We properly bought sound like interface and headphones and mics and all those things. And then we started recording initially. The start of the recording scene was you would just plug your guitar directly into the computer. It sounded really bad. But but to be fair, recording scene was not like there were no studios or no people you could go to get record. You had to do it yourself. But then I became that guy where people and like even Waleed from Dionysus, he is still running a studio in Lahore. So he became that guy where other bands would come and record as well, or like musicians would come and pay him to record it. So we kind of started that, and I did a lot of projects. To be fair, I would record like people's rap music. I've recorded music for video games. I've done music scores, movie scores as well. So yeah, like in the studio, then you start doing all sorts of stuff.
And tell me, what was that like? I mean, I think when you're in your late teenage, early college, I mean, first jobs and stuff like that, there's a different kind of energy and there's a
Yeah,
different kind of drive. As I get older each year, I kind of look back at that and reminisce far more because I don't know where we had the energy or the drive to do
to be
stuff. I
fair,
mean,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because like it was not even just recording music back then. We were constantly promoting our music in the right people, reaching out to the blogs and like reaching out to labels, reaching out to people who would like put our stuff on their website. It was crazy to be fair, the amount of energy we had. In my case, it was really like I was studying for CA at that time, and what I would do was I was failing in my exams. Like, so what I would do was I would give CA exams, whatever paper I was giving at that time, and then there would be a 2 months break where until I get my result, and I wouldn't do anything else. I would just record music in that time, and that's how all of these projects came into being. Because at that time I would be working on Foreskin, Iridium, Multicop side by side. Sometimes I would be doing projects with people who are not even in Pakistan, like Flaw. There was a project with my Russian friends, Olga and Valentine, and that just started off the internet. So we just met each other on Last FM and started talking about music, and we just kind of listened to the same sort of music. And now you think about it, and you're like, it's only been 10 years to be fair, but you don't get that kind of like you don't build that kind of relationships anymore on the internet. It's more like internet has become it is so full of noise that like I think back in that day, scrolling was just becoming a thing. So it wasn't really like you weren't on the internet to scroll. You were on the internet to, for example, look at some groups you've joined and what people are talking about there. You just get engaged in discussions. It was a really different time, to be fair, from 2008 to till 2014, 15. Then it just started to go downhill from there. But like I think in the past we have built some meaningful relationship around the world just by putting out underground music that some labels and some people who are still we still in touch with, and they're still uh yeah, they're still interested in what's going on. But yeah, you really I think at that time recording music was just me waiting for my result to come in, and I wasted to be fair, professionally, I think I wasted 5 years with trying to pass those exams, but I made a lot of good music during that time.
there's
And then
always
I just,
there's
there's
always a
always
balance,
something.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like failing in that area, but I was doing some good things that was like really satisfying myself internally, and that at that time. So that's when most of those projects came into being. But with me, like Hassan as well, and like all of our musician friends, it was mostly we never kept doing the same thing. Even that's the problem. Like for example, if I had kept one band and I've done all of these things with just one under one name, it would have been a different story as compared to having like 10 bands. And then like people in India or Bangladesh would start to think, oh, maybe Pakistan has a scene. They don't know it's just two or three people, playing different kind of music, to be fair. So that's really, yeah, that's what it was really like.
Yeah, and also just to add, right, you also mentioned that you didn't just like do metal stuff.
Yeah,
I think y'all got a lot of attention also when y'all did Dead Buttos.
yeah.
I'm forgetting the musician's name from the Kaminas, but
Basim
Basim.
Usmani. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah,
actually remember even connecting with the Kaminas, and I
yeah.
don't know if I've told this story on the podcast. Sorry if I did, but I was actually living in Abu Dhabi, and
Oh, okay.
this was MySpace days where
Yeah,
they I can't remember the exact post, but it was something to like,
yeah,
send us your address or wherever you live, and we'll send you a CD.
yeah,
I was like a 21-year-old, 22-year-old,
yeah.
barely any money, still in college. So I just like literally, as the kids today say, like shot my shot, yeah, whatever, like shoot my shot, whatever.
Yeah,
So I just sent them an email, and I think
yeah,
I forgot about it.
yeah.
Uh, 2 months later, I get a CD in the mail,
Crazy.
and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like these guys actually from the US sent
Yeah,
me a CD. So yeah,
yeah.
that
That's
was
like,
that was actually crazy to think about it, right? That they actually
yeah.
did that and actually gave a fuck. And yeah, I mean,
No,
think
that's
about it.
right. To be fair, it happened in my case as well. So, like, there's another friend of mine in Pakistan who's a really big collector that he collects death metal, Sarfraz Nawaz. So he used to get me a lot of CDs from abroad because in Pakistan there would be no shops. And I know in India there were still people doing distros, a lot of like record shops as well. Like, and even in those times, I remember people had shops, like even bare metal musicians had opened like shops on the side, and they were like bringing good music from abroad. And so we had Sarfraz Nawaz, and like he would get me whatever CD I would like say to order for me. So I remember there was a funeral doom band called Ahab,
Oh
and they
yeah.
had yeah, yeah, right. So they had this new album out, The Boat of Glen Carrick, and I was like, I need this on the LP. So he dropped them a message, and he he asked for the LP, right? So they said like, we'll think about it. Like it didn't work out at that time because we couldn't figure out the payment thing. But they had taken Sarfraz's address, so this automatically sent him like without us paying for it. They sent us a signed LP.
Oh
So
fuck.
so I had Ahab signed LP with me for so many years, and before coming here, I basically some shit happened with the LP. It's a long story, but now I somehow managed to trade it with Shreya Popolze, the guy we were talking about earlier on. So I traded it with Shreya Popolze, and I got the Grateful Dead, the Reckoning LP from him, which is acoustic Grateful Dead. Said I'm a big Grateful Dead fan. I was like I'm a weird guy to be fair. Like so I play grindcore death metal and then also like played Grateful Dead kind of stuff as well. So that's where that LP is now. But like we just got it out of nowhere even without paying, just for asking for it. And they were like, oh, so people in Pakistan care about our music, like just send it to them, and they were really nice enough to fucking send us the LP and signing it for us as well.
Yeah. Which I don't think again now would happen, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. That's right. That's right. They're on.
but okay, I want to kind of come to some conclusion to this
Yeah,
because I definitely want to get now, since there's more multinational corporations music coming out. I don't know whether this year, next year, but I want to get like you and Hassan both back on the podcast together. Uh,
yeah.
what have you been up to in Belfast? Tell us what music you've been playing. I'm gonna definitely link
Yeah,
that out
so in
also.
Belfast, yeah, in Belfast, to be fair, I started playing in this folk punk kind of band in October. So we did a tour across Ireland, and then yeah, like it was mostly, due to some differences, I quit that band in like February, and then I started two other bands with this one band called Red's Breath. We're still composing music, and we're thinking to record soon. But like it's a band with some really old timer guys from the scene. So there's the Darzu from Lawfucker and Death Grip, and they're good Belfast bands. So we're doing that, and then I've got a funk project on the side, and it's called Uncle Gaku. So, and then in that one as well, like basically, so what's happening these days is like I'm playing a lot of music. I played live last year and last time in Belfast, and that was around October. But like since then, I've been composing a lot of music and writing stuff, getting some sets ready with the bands. So yeah, these two projects are going on at the moment, and yeah, apart from that, it's just Multicorp is coming out, which is like the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, to be fair, at this point in time.
Yeah, and I think now I'm like my memory is coming back. The
Yeah,
question I asked Hassan last time was that, with Shiraz in Europe or like same kind of continent as
yeah,
you, uh, what is the kind of chances of anything happening with multinational corporations? And that's when you kind of spill the beans, so to say. Uh, but I'm going to ask it again, right? Because
yeah,
now you'll actually have music. Uh,
yeah,
Unlike back then, you know, while the DIY spirit I think is still strong between both of you,
yeah, yeah,
uh, you're also in countries where there is another kind of DIY
yeah,
spirit and the kind of thing. So this time I'm posing it to you. Uh,
yeah.
what's the chances of us seeing multinational corporations play somewhere? I don't know, somewhere in Europe,
Yeah.
Belfast.
Yeah, actually, like it is on the cards, and we have been talking about it, but the only thing that's keeping it from happening at the moment is that I need a drummer in Belfast that can basically play those songs and also enjoy them, to be fair. So in Belfast, there is a really good punk scene, but I think there are not many grind bands here. There's only one grind band actually, and they have, I think, disbanded now as well, and they're playing in other bands, the guys. But yeah, so the
Are
problem
you
is that the
referring
only
to a band in Incarnate?
no, it's a band called Voldemice. You know
Okay.
about Voldemice? Yeah,
No.
Voldemice, check them out. Yeah, Voldemice, they were a death grind band from Belfast, really good band. And yeah, so I was talking to guitarist like yesterday as well, and yeah, I was just like, we need to do this, bring this thing to Belfast, and also take this to Europe as well. But the only problem is that I'm working on it, to be fair, at the moment, but I'm trying to find a drummer who I can jam with here and then take, because I like we have members in, like, obviously Hassan is in Germany and my brother is in Germany who used to play with Multicorp, but even back home as well in Pakistan. And we also have the bassist who used to play with Multicorp in Berlin at the moment. So we have all the guys there already. I just need to get a drummer and then just make a trip there. But to be fair, it like I'm just waiting for the right person, to be fair. Like, I'm playing with a lot of drummers, but it's just that like the guy who really enjoys it and actually can pull it off as well. So that's the kind of thing where I am at. And once that gets sorted, I don't think there's anything stopping us, because we Hassan is already doing well with Zanjeer there. So finding shows and all of that thing, it's just a matter of deciding when we want to do it. So that's where it's dependent at the moment. But yeah, it's definitely on the card. Who knows? Like it probably happened by the end of this year or next year, probably.
Who knows? Maybe someone listening to this
Yeah.
podcast may actually end up.
Yeah,
uh,
exactly. Like I was talking to Hassan Munir in the morning, and he was like, "You need to put out an ad and just say that, and I think people will come in. Or like I might as well go down that road and ask people to. Because currently, what I'm trying to do is trying to make it happen organically, just like some person I come across who can play this. Like I don't think there's any harm in trying to go and search for people as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like I said the last time, definitely looking forward to something like that happen soon. And hey, why not, right? I mean, like you
Yeah.
said at the start, just to come like a full circle in this conversation, like in 2014, I think multinational corporations is still relevant, if not more. So full power to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Peter. Yeah, I think that was like, yeah, it's good experience coming here and talking about it as well. Just when you think about it, you try to basically a lot of things come to your mind as well. The why you're doing it, just talking to somebody about it. So that's really good as well.
Awesome. So, any final words? I mean, other than looking for a drummer, but if someone's listening to this podcast for the first time or listening to multinational corporations for the first time, what do you have to tell them?
Yeah, I think just one thing that like I would like to. I don't want to be like giving advices to people or anything. I just say that if you like the music, then and like the people who understand where we are coming from and like the things that we are talking about, and it is basically real. And these are the things that need to be talked about. And basically, yeah, anybody who's listening to it, hope they enjoy it. And if even if they don't, then it's all right. And yeah, to be fair, nothing, no like no advices to be fair. It's all like it all speaks for itself. And I would say just yeah, music wise, one thing I could say was like, we like a bit of a crust and hardcore in our grind, and we like a bit of a grindcore in our crust as well. So it's just a matter of like, not drawing clear boundaries and just fucking having fun with the music at the end of the day. And I think that's what we have done since the beginning with Multicop as well. We don't like, drawing clear boundaries between, okay, this is the kind of music it is. It's just hard to put it in a box.
Before I let you go, Shiraz, I think it's very apt that we play a track by another band of yours, Dionysus, who was again quite well known, but a completely different sound. So just tell us quickly about Dionysus and which song you'd like us to play.
I think Dionysus, the last song will be the best one. If like people want to listen, I think Rain will be the best one. So yeah, that'll be.
Awesome. So thanks so much, Shiraz, for speaking to me, taking time out. And here is Rain.
My life will
And that was Dionysus with Rain. Hope you enjoyed my chat with Sheraz. Do stay tuned for what multinational corporations are up to next. I'm leaving the link to the demo and also their social media in the show notes. As always, you can follow me on Trendcrusher on any social media platform. If you enjoyed this podcast, hit subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening to. I've got another exciting episode coming up in a few days, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you all very soon. Cheers.